Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. I'm back for another Roscoe's recap, and this viewing party was for All Stars 8 episode 8. And the guest this week was Heidi and Closet from season 12 and All Stars 8. And they also had a sign language interpreter sitting on the side of the stage too. Today we're going to be talking about Heidi calling out Kandy Muse for lying, why Alexis Michelle kept Kandy Muse in the competition, and Heidi reveals whether she regrets quitting the season. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. So before they started watching the episode, Naysha brought up that Heidi had said previously online that she had some things to get off her chest when she was at Roscoe's, and Naysha asked Heidi what she wanted to say. At first, Heidi joked and said, quote, "I'm going to gag you bees," but then she laughed and said she was joking. But Heidi then said it was, quote, "no mystery of what had happened between Heidi and Kahanna online and the feud that they had." I did talk about this in a previous video, so make sure you check that out. I'll put a link in the description. But basically, for any of you who don't know, Heidi and Kahanna had a feud online and called each other out. Anyway, back to Roscoe's, and Heidi said that she and Kahanna had had a conversation, and Kahanna had apologised to Heidi for the things she said. And Kahanna was apparently, quote, "in her emotions," mainly because the fans weren't taking her seriously. Heidi also said that some people accused Kahanna and Kandy for being the reason why Heidi quit the show because of the argument that they had had in the workroom. But Heidi said that's not the reason at all, and she said, quote, "I was not happy being there. I felt a sense of overlookedness. It was not conducive for my mental health." Heidi also said she apologised to Kahanna and admitted that she could have handled the situation online way better. Heidi added that she and Kahanna have agreed to disagree on some things, but they have now moved on and it's all fine. And Heidi said, "Don't send any hate to anyone because it's not right and you should be supporting the queens." And I'd like to take a moment to say thank you to the sponsor of this video, Surfshark. Surfshark is a leading VPN provider, and their software allows you to switch your online location with just the click of a button. With Surfshark, you can effortlessly switch your online location and take advantage of watching content in other countries, such as several seasons of Drag Race on Netflix UK. Using a VPN like Surfshark is also a great way to protect yourself online by encrypting your data and keeping it safe. And what's more, if you use my code DRAGT and purchase a 24-month plan, you'll get an extra 3 months for free, which is a great deal. Just scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description and in the pinned comment. Thanks again to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. They then started watching this week's episode, which was the design challenge, and they talked about Jimbo during the challenge when she was struggling with time management. Heidi was asked if it was true or not, whether Jimbo was just saying that to add some suspense to the episode, but Heidi said Jimbo really is bad at time management and takes a long time to get ready. Host Naysha Lopez, who was also on All Stars 8, said that while they were filming the show, the queens all had to be ready on time. But the queens would just look at Jimbo, and if she was only halfway done, the other queens knew they had plenty of time to get ready because they would have to wait for Jimbo to be ready anyway. Host Caramel then asked Heidi whether she is enjoying watching the show now that she's no longer on it, or does she wish that she was still on the season. Heidi said, quote, "Oh god no, I am so happy I'm not there," and everyone laughed. Heidi added that she really loves Drag Race and it's her favourite show, but when you're on Drag Race, it's a bit like the movie The Wizard of Oz, when you see behind the curtain and realise the wizard isn't actually real and it's, quote, "just a man." And Heidi joked that the man was RuPaul. Host Patty Davis then asked and said, "So what we see on the episode is not what actually happens?" Heidi explained that they film for 10 to 12 hours a day and each episode is 2 days worth of footage because the episode is only an hour long. So obviously not everything is going to be shown. Naysha also asked Heidi if she was told that because she quit, she wasn't going to be allowed to do the fame game. And Heidi said that she was informed by producers that if she left, she would not be eligible for the fame game, but Heidi still decided to leave because she needed to have her happiness, and no prize money was worth her happiness. They then talked more about Heidi quitting All Stars 8 in episode 5, and Heidi said that it had always been a dream of hers to win Drag Race, and so leaving the show was one of the hardest things that she's ever done. And Heidi said that the decision for her to leave, quote, tore me up inside, and Heidi also said she had to deal with the depression and anger. But she's now in a much better place and she stands by her decision to leave. Naysha asked if Heidi would ever go back for another All-Stars or a Versus the World season now that she's in a better place. And Heidi said that for All-Stars 8, she didn't check in on herself and she was going through a lot of personal issues at the time. Heidi didn't say exactly what happened, but she mentioned her grandmother passing away and her family falling apart. And Heidi even said that the last time she was with her whole family, her brother pulled a gun on her uncle, and this was a month before filming started. So Heidi said that she was not in a good place when she got the call for All Stars 8, so if she was offered another chance for another season, she would have to think about it first and make sure she was in a good place. But if she was, then she would go back. Batty Davis then mentioned last week when RuPaul came into the workroom and gave the queens a pep talk and convinced Kahanna not to leave the competition. And Batty asked Heidi if RuPaul had done that when she wanted to leave, would Heidi have stayed? Heidi said she wasn't sure if it would have made a difference because she was just really not happy in the competition, but she did say that it might have been enough to make her stay. And Heidi also said she really appreciates being on the show and the opportunities it's given her. They then moved on to the moment in the episode where Raven and Shannel came into the workroom to talk to the queens about their design challenge concepts. And Caramel asked why Raven and Shannel were there instead of RuPaul, and Naysha said that RuPaul had to go do something to do with the Emmys and that's why he wasn't there. They then mentioned that Shannel had been a lip-sync assassin in episode 4 and she lip-synced against Jimbo and won, and she had to reveal that the queens had chosen for Darien Lake to go home. And Heidi spilled some backstage tea about this moment and said that when Shannel won the lip sync, RuPaul is sitting about 30 feet away from the stage. And Shannel then said that the queens have chosen to eliminate, and then she pulled out the lipstick, but she didn't actually say the name out loud. And apparently, without missing a beat, RuPaul acted shocked as usual. And Heidi joked that there's no way that RuPaul could have read the name on the lipstick from that far away, and RuPaul was, quote, acting her ass off. Heidi also said the producers had to ask Shannel to pull the lipstick out again, but this time she needed to say the actual name out loud. But Heidi said that the queens are closer to the stage than RuPaul is, so the queens could probably see the name on the lipstick. So Darien must have known that she was going to be eliminated already, and what we saw in the episode wasn't actually her genuine reaction, because she had already seen her name on the lipstick from the first time that Shannel showed the lipstick. And Heidi said that RuPaul was clearly acting her surprise. Caramel then said, quote, "Speaking of acting, how do you feel about Alexis Michelle this season?" And everyone laughed. Heidi then said that Alexis clearly wants to win an Emmy this season, and Naysha added that Alexis is a sweet and sensitive person, and she was genuinely nervous about how the fans would receive her on the season, so every time she was crying it was genuine. But Naysha said that the Drag Race fandom is, quote, so toxic, and that's why the queens are so nervous about everything they do and say on the show, and Heidi agreed. Batty then brought up Reddit, and Heidi said, quote, "Reddit is evil," and they started talking about how so much stuff gets leaked about the seasons on Drag Race on Reddit, and a lot of it turns out to be true, and so someone from production must be leaking this stuff to Reddit. And Naysha said that she had a conspiracy theory that the show deliberately leaks information before the season airs on Reddit to try and, quote, manipulate the audience's perception so that the producers can edit the show according to the fans' perception. They then talked about the moment in episode 5 when Kandy confronted Heidi and asked why Heidi had been going around saying that Kandy had said that she would eliminate Jimbo, and Heidi said Kandy did say that, but Kandy denied it and there was a big fight about it. Naysha said that at Roscoe's, they had come up with a theory that perhaps Kandy had said something about Jimbo and it was slightly misconstrued by other queens, and that's how this happened. And Heidi shook her head and everyone started laughing. According to Heidi, what actually happened was that Kandy had actually said twice that she would eliminate Jimbo, not just one time. And the time that they were discussing in the workroom was when Alexis was present when Kandy had said that. However, there was apparently another time when Kandy said that, when they were in the car, and Jimbo got out of the car first because she was closest to the door, and apparently Jimbo said something funny to the producers when she got out of the car, and all of the producers laughed. And apparently Kandy, Heidi and a few other queens were still sitting in the car, and Kandy turned to the other queens in the car and said, quote, "You see, the producers love her. If she ever lands in the bottom, we need to send her home." And apparently Heidi had spoken to the other queens who were also in the car, and they all confirmed that Kandy did indeed say that. But they asked Heidi not to mention their names because they'd want to stay out of the drama. Heidi said though that she and Kandy had spoken about it and it was all good, and they are currently on tour together for the Haters Roast. And Heidi said that during the tour there was one day when this whole issue came up and Heidi and Kandy, quote, barked at each other. And apparently Kandy said she didn't lie on the show, and Heidi said, quote, "Oh B, now wait a minute, now I'm going to put all this aside because I love you, but you're not going to sit here and say you didn't lie because you did, period." But Heidi repeated that she and Kandy are fine now and they have let it go. They then moved on to the moment when Alexis Michelle, who had won the challenge, had to pick who to send home out of LaLa Ri and Kandy Muse, and Alexis chose LaLa Ri to go home. And everyone was shocked because LaLa had saved Alexis the week before, and Alexis said that she wouldn't forget that, and they questioned why Alexis went back on what she said. Heidi said that she had had conversations with both Alexis and LaLa, and she knew what was, quote, the straw that broke the camel's back. And Heidi didn't want to spill it in case they talked about it in Untucked, but Heidi said that there was a connection between Alexis and Kandy, which is probably the reason why Alexis chose to save Kandy. Heidi said that apparently Alexis wanted to, quote, change the perception of herself going into All Stars, but according to Heidi, Alexis had two good opportunities to show that, but Heidi said, quote, she made the absolute worst decision in both cases. And Heidi said that in her opinion, Alexis made the wrong choice by eliminating LaLa, even though she had previously said that she would keep LaLa. And just for anyone that doesn't know, Alexis tweeted after the episode saying, quote, "It was an impossible choice, a lose-lose situation, two incredible queens who I admire and respect. I made a choice. After sleeping on it, I wished I could have done differently. I'm sorry for disappointing you. People make mistakes. I own this one. No edit, just me." And Caramel brought up this tweet and the audience groaned, and Heidi said, quote, "Don't backpedal, stand by it." And they mentioned that Alexis would be at Roscoe's next week, so they could ask her about it then. Batty Davis then said that Alexis was trying to give herself the upper hand by eliminating LaLa, but that decision, quote, smacked her in the ass. And Heidi said that if Alexis had sent Kandy home instead, the fans would probably be cheering for Alexis and it would have redeemed her. And Heidi also brought up the moment during the workroom confrontation in episode 5 when Heidi said Kandy had said that she would eliminate Jimbo, and Heidi brought Alexis into the conversation to confirm what Heidi was saying. And at first, Alexis confirmed what Heidi said, but then Alexis seemed to change her mind. And Heidi said that if Alexis had just picked a side during the argument, it would have come off better than the back and forth that Alexis did. Heidi also said that Alexis wanted to be in an alliance with Heidi, Kandy and Jimbo, and apparently Alexis wrote a note to all of them at the beginning of the season saying that they should be in an alliance. And it's assumed that Heidi was inferring that that's the reason why Alexis decided to keep Kandy in the competition instead of LaLa. They then moved on to Untucked, and during Untucked, Alexis spoke to both LaLa and Kandy privately. And when Alexis spoke to LaLa, Alexis asked LaLa how she would feel if Alexis chose to eliminate her. And Naysha said it was obvious after that Alexis was going to pick LaLa's lipstick to go home. Naysha also joked and said that although what Alexis did was shady, Naysha loved it because it made good TV. And Naysha said, quote, "The bee has lied, she backtracks, she's doing the effing most, I mean I'm not mad at it." And Heidi agreed and said that they were all talking about it, which shows that it was a memorable moment and the queens are there to make good TV. And Naysha said, quote, "It's a TV show before it's a competition, period." And Naysha also made the point that the fans forget to differentiate between the queen on TV and the queen in real life, and that when the queens are at live shows, that's who they really are, and on TV they are sort of playing a character that isn't necessarily who they are. Caramel then brought up the part of Untucked where they show the lip sync assassin getting ready for the lip sync, and Caramel asked Heidi what it was like because Heidi was a lip sync assassin on All Stars 6. And Heidi said that the queens are given the song 2 days before the lip sync, and they bring multiple outfits to wear just in case they have any issues with the other outfits. And Heidi shared a fun fact and said that when her season 12 sister Jada Essence Hall was a lip sync assassin on All Stars 6, Jada had left the wig that she wanted to wear in Heidi's apartment. So Jada called Heidi and asked if they could record their phone conversation, and Heidi said yes, and then Jada called her back and they had to pretend as if they were speaking for the first time, and Heidi ended up sending Jada's wig to the studio by Uber. However, none of this was shown in the episode. And finally, they moved on to the audience Q&A, and someone asked why there has been no reading challenge so far on All Stars 8, or was it just not aired? Heidi said that on the episodes that she was there for, there was no reading challenge, and Heidi said when she walked in on episode 1, she had all of her reads ready in her gap tooth purse that she was carrying, but there wasn't a reading challenge. And Nasia said because she was cast last, she knew who was going to be on the season, and she had prepared reads for all of the queens. Caramel also said that Darian Lake had said while she was at Roscoe's that there was no reading challenge, but Caramel said perhaps they would do a reading challenge in the next few episodes. And Nasia said she thinks they might have taken out the reading challenge because it can be a bit hit and miss. And Heidi said that on Canada vs. the World, the reading challenge was really bad. And on season 12, because the queens all got on so well, the reading challenge was also not very good, which is why they didn't air it, even though they filmed it. So there you go, there was the Roscoe's recap for RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 8 Episode 8. Do you agree with the outcome of this week's episode? And who do you think will win the season? Let me know in the comments. And thank you again to Surfshark for sponsoring this video, and just as a reminder that if you use my code DRAGT and purchase a 24-month plan, you'll get an extra 3 months for free. Just scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description and in the pinned comment. If you'd like to get access to my videos before they go on YouTube, as well as shoutouts in my videos, priority when submitting interview questions, and also access to my archived videos, you can join my Patreon for just a few dollars a month to unlock these incredible benefits. I'll put a link in the description. And I'd just like to say thank you so much to all of my incredible Patreon members. Your support is really amazing and it really does make such a huge difference to my channel, so thank you all so much. Please make sure you like, comment and share this video as it really helps support my channel. And of course, please make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date about new uploads. Thanks for watching and I hope you'll join me again in future videos. Thank you, bye!